Hello and welcome back to another Forgotten Hope tutorial. This video will be about map-specific tips, and I'll go by a number of maps in Forgotten Hope 2 and give you tips about how to play these maps and increase the chance of your team ending up as the winner. So we start with Bastogne. This tip is for the attackers. When you attack this map, you can see that the first two flags have green circles, so you can cap both of these. When you capture the first flag over here, Hurtgen, then you will unlock this one, Marvi. If you capture them both, then also the Mont flag will be unlocked. Those flags are 4 flags you need to open Bastogne. You can also open Bastogne by opening up 4 different flags. Because if you got both of these flags, then you can capture Bastogne and Mont, or you can open Bastogne and Marvi and leave Mont, and then you can flank towards Bastogne. So you need 4 flags to open Bastogne, either Keren, Bastogne, Mont and Hurtgen, or Hurtgen, Keren, Mont and Marvi, or Hurtgen, Marvi, Keren and Bastogne. Here we are on Battle of Keren, and my tips here are for the attackers. After you capture the first sector, a second sector will open, and it will consist of 4 flags, these 4 over here. These 3 are all on a mountain, and this one is in a valley. You can capture all of them if you want, but my advice would be to capture the valley flag first, then the 4th one, because it will open the Keren flags. And then you can capture either the other 2 mountain flags or the Keren flags to turn the bleed. The bleed will stop for the British after they are graying one of these 2 flags or one of these 2 flags, taken that these are already taken by the British. So if you go valley fort, then you have the most options to win the map. Here we are on Crete, and my tips here are for the attackers. First, very important, if you are leaving for the island, you will need a parachute, or you will have to land the Junkers 52. If you want to jump, then you have to be a rifleman or a squad leader with a squad leader kit, because as you can see from the little icons here, the parachute and this parachute, these are the only kits that have the parachute. And if you take a different kit, you're always free to do so, then you won't be able to deploy a parachute when you drop over the island. So please beware to take the rifleman kit or the squad leader kit, because they have the parachutes. When you jump, you have to press 9 twice. Once to deploy the parachute and once to open it. So you pull the string and then you open the chute. The Germans need to capture 1 flag on the island to stop the bleed. And you can see that it stops already by graying it. You will turn the bleed if you capture a number of flags, but you can also subtract tickets from the enemy total by capturing certain flags, like the Maleme Aerodrome, where I am right now. As you can see, this cost 20 tickets for the British. As you can see, capturing Hill cost the enemy 40 tickets. Here we are on Falaise Pocket, and this tip is actually for both the attackers and the defenders. When the attackers have captured the first sector, they will unlock the second sector, which is the entire town of Saint-Lambert. So you can capture south, center and north, and the order in which you capture them is not so important. When the Germans have captured 2 flags in Saint-Lambert, then the mortar battery will open. So now for the Canadians, it's important to recap Saint-Lambert in order to be able to keep the bleed on the Germans. The Germans need to capture one of the remaining flags to win the map. As you can see, the bleed for the Germans stops when they are graying one of the last 2 flags, and as soon as they capture this flag or the mortar battery, can go either way, then the Canadians will start bleeding, and contrary to the German bleed, this will be a fast bleed. Canadians can only stop this fast bleed by recapping one of the open flags, and then the bleed will be switched back to the Germans. Here we are on Hurtgen Forest, and the tips I've got are for the attackers. Actually, the tip is already on the minimap, but there are still many players who are getting confused by how to play this map. So let me explain this very quickly. There are 3 lanes: north, middle and south. North is Weehee Fort and Lumber Mill, middle is Lookout and Bunker, and south is Bridge and Crossroads. And you need 2 out of these 3 to open Katzenhut. So when you capture Weehee Fort, Lumber Mill will open. When you capture Lookout, Bunker will open, and then you can go to Katzenhut. You can ignore the southern lane in that moment. You can also open north and south and then ignore middle lane. You can also capture middle lane and south by capping Bridge first and then Crossroads, and then go to Katzenhut. Katzenhut will have a blue loop when it opens, so the Germans won't be able to recapture it after the Americans gray it. So do everything in order to gray it, because the spawn point for the Germans is around here, and when they lose it, they have to come from Germeter, where they spawn pretty far away from the town, and getting from here to Katzenhut is taking a lot of time. So beware, as the Americans, that if you capture Weehee Fort and you want to capture Lumber Mill, then defend Weehee Fort until Lumber Mill is taken, because the Germans can recapture this one. So secure the lanes. You can go Bridge, Crossroads, and then when Lookout is captured, you can get Bunker from both sides if you want. But as soon as Katzenhut opens, go to Katzenhut. I can't stress this enough. Go to Katzenhut. Don't waste time to capture the 3rd lane. It will cost time, it will cost tickets. You are bleeding. It will cost tickets because you will be dying, and you need every ticket to capture Germeter. Germeter is a very, very hard final flag to capture. I have seen many rounds in which the Americans captured the forest pretty okay, in a nice and fast manner, and then were stomping against Germeter for over 500 tickets. So please, American players, only take 2 lanes, don't waste time, energy, manpower, etc. on the other flags. It doesn't help. As soon as Katzenhut is American, go to Germeter. Germeter is the only flag you will have to fight for after Katzenhut has turned American. So again, don't waste time, tickets, energy, and other players' nerves by fighting for these flags when this is already entirely American. So when this is American, when Katzenhart has turned American, go Germeter. Go Germeter only. Everything on Germeter, preferably from different sides, because to capture Germeter is a hard task, and you can't afford as your team to have a squad or even a couple of players or even one player spending time in capturing these useless flags that are not even into play anymore. So, when 2 out of the 3 lanes are captured and Katzenhart opens, everything on Katzenhart. When Katzenhart turns American, everything on Germeter. And when I say everything, I really, really mean everything. Every single player goes for Germeter. Good luck. Here we are on Mersa Matruh, and my tip here is both for the attackers and the defenders, and it's about flag weight. Maybe you already know, but flags can have different weights in turning the bleed. For example, these flags all weigh 20, for example, but Garola weighs 40. So it's the same as 2 other flags in the town. So if you are Germans and you are attacking the town, the British can counter the attack by capturing Garola, because it's a flag which weighs more in the bleed conditions. So this is done for historical reasons, because in the fight for Mersa Matruh, the English were escaping through Garola. So when they captured this, they actually secured their escape route. Beware, if you play this map, that you defend Garola if you're the Germans, and if you're the British, defend your town, of course, but also try and capture Garola, because not only will it take away assets from the Germans, but it will also take longer for the Germans to stop their bleed. Germans should keep Garola and capture the town, and beware that Garola has a heavier weight in the bleed conditions. Here we are on Omaha Beach, and it's very important on Omaha Beach that the ship is using its artillery. Most ship artillerymen are trying to blow up the German defenses, like the machine gun nests and especially the Panzerturm. Very useful, but it's best if they use the artillery to smoke the beach. So use the smoke artillery and engulf that beach in smoke. Fire smoke again and again so that the infantrymen can cross the beach safely. So use smoke and help your team win the map. Here we are on Operation Goodwood, and my tips here are for the defenders. The defenders usually have a hard time on this map, and here are the tips. You can see that there are 3 flags neutral when the game starts. Usually the British will rush for Le Prieur and mount an attack on Le Mesnil-Fremantle. The Germans really need Cagny East, because it will spawn the 88 guns, which will cover the field north of Cagny, and when the British have captured Le Prieur, they will then go to Cagny, and when you don't have the AT guns ready, it will be very easy for the British to take Cagny. When you're the Germans, you might want to rush Le Prieur as well, because if the British don't take Le Prieur, then it's very hard for them to capture Cagny. There's a Hanomag in Le Poirier. The fastest way to Cagny is to spawn here, drive to Cagny, drop some guys to capture Cagny, and then drive on to Le Prieur. In the meantime, some Germans from the Menil-Fremantle can try to capture Le Prieur as well. What's important for the defenders on this map are two things. First, the northern sector is locking the southern sector. So if you lose both the northern flags as the Germans, then the British can capture Grandville and Le Poirier. And once they will do that, especially when they capture Grandville, it will be very difficult for the Germans to leave the base unharmed. So it's very vital for the Germans to keep the northern sector. One of the things you can do is to have a squad leader roaming around this area to recapture this flag as soon as it's lost. The second thing that is important to remember is that Carnier can stop the bleed by itself. So when the game starts, the British will bleed. The British can stop the bleed by bypassing these flags and just capture the entire town. That's bad news for the Germans because the Germans will want to keep the bleed on the British. So the Germans should at least keep one flag in the town. Once both flags are taken, the bleed will stop. So the Germans have two tasks. One, keep the northern sector. 2, keep at least half of the town. If you can manage to do that as the German team, you will win this map. And that's quite something, because usually the attackers win this one. That's it for this video. If you have any questions or remarks, please post them in the comments. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.